Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to do a DIY Dollar Tree last minute Halloween DIY. So we're going to make a boo sign and a cute little charm necklace thingy. We're going to use 3 burner covers. That's 2 packages you'll need with 1 left over. Then we're going to use some 97-cent and $1.47 fat quarters from Walmart, but any fabric or paper would work. And then a thin ribbon of your choice. This is to make a hanger, but as well as the beautiful buffalo check ribbon from Hobby Lobby that I got at 50% off. So that's what we're going to use. And of course, we're going to use some scrap cardboard. This is actually a box with white on the inside, and we're just going to use that instead of poster board. And we're going to use some Mod Podge. We also going to use a little bit of hot glue to glue the ribbon on. And the letters. So the first thing we're going to do really is we're going to Mod Podge the fabric onto these signs. Now I like these signs because they're sort of a very similar uniform color. So if there's a very white background with dark letters, sometimes that'll show through the fabric. Now I did show you real quick when I opened it that the little one had squeezed into the big one and made like an impression. So I went ahead and I just flattened that out with the back of my scissors. Laid the fabric over it, cut it roughly around the edge, and then took some of the more Mod Podge and went around the edges, pushed the fabric down, and then went over it with some Mod Podge to go ahead and squeeze the edges down. It's not important that the edges lay 100% flat, but you kind of want to train them a little bit, so then we do glue it around to the back side. We'll have a little bit better of a shape to it, okay? So that's what we're doing. We're just using that to sort of train, the Mod Podge to sort of train the fabric to go around. Now, as far as your design is concerned, you can choose whatever fabrics you want, whatever order that you want your fabrics to go in. I just chose these 3 randomly. I love the one with the pumpkins on it. And I thought maybe the 2 big ones with the color and then the one in the middle with just black and white would look sort of nice. And I will tell you that the black one with the white spider webs, which is what we're going to use this last one here, actually was last year's fabric for 97 cents, and seems to be a little thicker than this year's fabrics. It was a little more difficult to push down on the sides, so just keep that in mind and just work with it. You can see I'm putting a little extra Mod Podge around the edges to train it, just because, like I said, the fabric was a little thicker. Now if you notice, I'm not Mod Podging over the top. I don't find that necessary. I have plenty of it underneath, and since it's fabric, it will kind of come through a little bit. But also when you Mod Podge over it, sometimes you get that like sheen. Even on the mat you get like a sheen, and I'm not really crazy about it, so I just wanted to have the fabric be the way it is. If you do get some on the edge, it's not the end of the world, but I'm definitely not Mod Podging over the whole thing. Just save your Mod Podge. It's going to be fine, I promise. Okay, so now I set these off to dry for a couple of hours. Now I'm taking the cardboard box, the old packaging, and I'm just going to use it to cut out some letters. I'm just handwriting letters, but you could get a stencil, you could get poster letters, you can just do whatever you wish. You can make them in whatever color coordinates with what you're doing. You could actually even make them all in different colors. Like if we could have done the B and the second O in white and maybe the middle O in orange or whatever. But what I'm just doing is I'm handwriting them. The good thing about this is you're making one O, and then you could just copy it and cut out a second one. I made the letter about 1 inch wide. I do recommend you try to use a marker and draw on the bad side, basically like this. And it just makes it easier. You don't have to clean up your letters as much. But of course, I'm not home, and I'm doing the best I can with what I have. So I'm using a pencil and I'm drawing on the white side. Okay? And now I used the small burner cover to determine the size of the letters, and then I made them all the same size. But you can make them different sizes too. You can make each one proportion to its burner cover as well. Now you could always make this with 3 sets of burner covers and have them all be the same size, but I like the little O in the middle. I think it's kind of cute. But either way, it's still pretty inexpensive because they're only just 50 cents a burner cover. Okay, and with the poster board being free from using packaging, that definitely makes it better as well. Now, I think that once I have this at home, I'm going to go ahead and do something special to these letters. But for right now, I'm doing the best I can with what I have. You could also double layer the letters, which is originally what I was thinking, that I would put thin black letters over like a big white letter so it had an outline. But I like the way it came out pretty much so far. So now I'm just taking a little bit of hot glue in sections and I'm wrapping the fabric back over on the back side. Now to do this, all you do is you take in small sections, use your fingers, and just fold it over as you go to make sure it lays flat, and try to go basically directly towards you across from where you're working. What I mean by that is try not to work on an angle, because then you'll end up pulling the fabric and making buckles, and because we put the Mod Podge down, it lays really nice and in flat. So that's really what works out really nice. And I'm doing this around all 3 burners, cutting off whatever extra fabric I have down there. But even that's not necessary. It's just what I decided to do for appearance. Okay? Now, once you're done with all 3 of them, then it's time to put your letters on and then try to figure out your design. I knew how I wanted mine to lay out. So what I did was I basically laid it out how I wanted it. I took a pencil and I drew where I wanted the burner covers were going to overlap, so I knew where to glue. And then I glued my letters down, and then I went ahead and I glued the burner covers down to each other. Now this part's a little bit more difficult. You want to make sure you get it all in the right spot and get a good adhesion at first. But then what we're going to do is flip them over. We're going to add a little extra glue and spread it around with a piece of cardboard. I needed a little extra glue on that O. I ended up making it a little crooked at the end, which I kind of liked it, so I just left it. To me, it looks a little endearing. And because I was already putting the stripe on a diagonal, it just looks like it's part of the effect. So now I just took some scrap pieces of cardboard and I made them like accordion folds. And I just stuck them under the space just so it could lay a little bit more flat. Basically, I folded a piece of paper back and forth, glued the top and bottom, and then tucked it under where the 2 burner covers meet. And that's just to give it a little bit more stability and support. Okay? Now we're going to take some ribbon. I decided to use some of the ribbon that was gifted to me. It has cute little skeletons on it. I tied it into a bow and made 2 really long tails. I just tied it into a regular bow, but it took a minute to straighten it all out so all of the skeletons were in the right direction, all the bow was laying flat in the right direction. And then I just made it spaced evenly and glued it evenly between the 2 sets of burner covers so it would hang evenly. I made sure I glued right up to the edges. And if you make sure you're going to glue it to fabric, you want to make sure your fabric is glued down really well. If that makes any sense to you. Hopefully that makes sense to you. And now I just wanted to add a tiny touch of farmhouse to it. So I added a bow of this buffalo check underneath it, just to make it coordinate with my home a little bit better. All I did was create a little bit of a bigger bow and glued the other bow right on top of it. And now I have a double layer of bow, and I really do like it. I took a piece of pipe cleaner to make a loop and glued it to the back of the bow, and that's how I will hang it. So you could hang it from the bows, but sometimes that does pull it out, and sometimes it actually starts to twist and doesn't let the bow lay nice. So here's how it looks. I think it's so cute. I really do like the way it came out. This was a Pinterest inspired. Somebody had made it with embroidery hoops, but I was like, we can do that with burner covers. The next project we're going to do really easy. We're just going to make a beaded sort of, I don't know, they're beaded tassels that they have this year that's kind of popular. We're just going to use one of these skulls and some of this cotton twine that can all be found at the Dollar Tree. So really quickly, and I say that because whenever I sit down and say, I'm just going to do a really quick craft, it never turns out to be a really quick craft. I feel like Murphy's Law is always in effect whenever I say, let's do a really quick craft. But you guys know I have all of the skewers at home, and I usually make a needle where I glue the string to the skewer. I didn't have any skewers here. Also, with these beads from the Dollar Tree, often you have to take a skewer and make the hole, like drill the hole a little bit, because sometimes the paint gets in there. So I ended up finding a paintbrush that was good enough to do that, but not to make a needle. So it took me a little bit of extra time and I kept having to cut and wet the cord and cut and wet the cord, and then I tried to glue it and make a needle. All of those things were not happening for me. But you guys, we've done lots of things on our channel before where we've taken a string and glued it to a little piece of stick, a toothpick, whatever you've got, to create a needle. Just glue the string to it, and then you can go ahead and sew these beads on really quickly. What I decided to do was take the sort of ivory colored one that could be yellow. I took the orange one, not the dark red orange, but the orange, and then the dark blue that almost looked black. And I strung them large, small, and then alternated the three colors. So it does end up being like large orange, small yellow, large blue, small orange, large yellow. So basically we'll end up using 2 of each color in each size. But you can make it as long as you want to. You also know that you can paint these. I really just knew that the Dollar Tree had sort of a black, orange, and white look that I was going to just emulate. And now I took one of the little skulls. I took my scissor to make the hole in his head to match across from the hole in his chin. He basically has a hole in his chin from where the mold was poured. And I made that hole a little bit bigger, stuck the paintbrush up to find the matching hole at the top, made the hole at the top, and then fed the string through. So I wanted the one top of the beads to be the skull, the bottom of the beads to be the tassel. But that's just the way I'm making it for Halloween. Basically, you can do whatever you want. You know, these beaded tassels are really simple, really easy. And you really don't even need instructions. I just wanted to show you how it came out. So what I did was I did a triple knot at the top, created a loop, and then fed the string back through the skull so that it basically just would disappear inside the skull and be extra secure. I added a little bit of hot glue to the top of the knot so it wouldn't come through the skull, and I just left a loop at the top. You could put a jump ring on here, or a keychain, or a like a clasp, maybe an alligator clip or something. For the other end, I just let it hang off about 6 inches. Then we're going to go ahead and make the tassel. I just took the cotton twine, I wrapped it around my 4 fingers several times. You can make it bigger if you want to, wrap it around a piece of cardboard. But we're just going to wrap it around, and then we're going to take the string that was left over from the beads, knot it to the top 3 or 4 times, and then we're going to let the extra piece hang down and blend into the tassel. Then we're going to take an additional small piece of string. We're going to wrap it around right underneath that top, about a half an inch down, and we're just going to wrap it a few times. Then we're going to take an additional small piece of string, fold it in half, make it a loop, put the loop end the opposite of where you want the string to end up, so the loop end should face the top. You're going to wrap that string around a few more times over the loop, and then you're going to take the end of the string, feed it through the loop, and then pull the other ends of the loop down, and that will feed the string underneath everything you just knotted. And that's just a quick way of knotting it off without using any glue or anything. And we have other tutorials on our channel that'll show you how to do this. Then you want to trim the bottom to the tassel that you like. You can brush it if you want to, but this is how we're just going to leave it. So that's it. I really enjoyed this project. It was a lot of fun, simple and easy, kind of spooky, but kind of fun. And if you guys have any questions at all, go ahead and leave them in the comments down below. Don't forget to share with friends and family, anybody who might be interested in making either one of these projects or last minute Halloween ideas. And if you haven't yet, click subscribe, and when you do, a little bell will pop up. When you ring that bell, YouTube will let you know whenever I upload a new video. And as always, you guys take care, God bless, and we'll see you next time. Bye.